The alien world of Rivela was a place both beautiful and dangerous. Its skies burned orange at sunset, its mountains shone with silver ridges, and its forest glowed faintly at night with plants that pulsed with living light. When explorers from Earth first came, they called it a second Eden, but those who stayed longer knew the truth. Rivela was not gentle. The ground shifted without warning. The air carried storms that howled through the valleys. Its beauty came with a cost, and anyone who walked its cliffs had to respect the mountain or face its wrath. Daniel Carter, a human surveyor from Earth, thought he respected the mountain enough. He had been sent with a small team to map possible settlement zones across the northern ridges. His work was to measure the land, mark safe trails, and place beacons where ships could someday land. It sounded simple, but every step across the jagged landscape felt like a gamble. That morning had been quiet. The air smelled of wet stone after a night's rain, and a mist clung to the valleys far below. Daniel carried his scanner, adjusting its readings as he walked a narrow ridge. His boots crunched on loose gravel, his eyes tracing the distant horizon where the cliffs stretched like dragon spines into the sky. He should have felt awe, but instead he felt uneasy. The mountain seemed too quiet, too watchful. He stopped, crouched, and placed his scanner against the ground. The screen blinked back faint tremors, nothing large, but enough to make him frown. He had felt them before, tiny pulses deep below. Just the mountain breathing, his captain had told him once. But this breath felt heavy. Daniel rose to his feet again, brushing dirt from his hands. He decided to continue, marking down a possible campsite when the sound came. A low rumble, almost like distant thunder. His first thought was a storm rolling through. But then the ridge beneath him cracked, his heart lurched. Rocks split apart, a sharp sound like breaking glass. Then the slope gave way. Daniel barely had time to scream before the world became chaos. The mountainside collapsed in a roar, stones and boulders tearing free like angry beasts. He tried to run, but his boots slipped on loose dirt. The ground tilted. His body pitched forward. For one dizzy moment he saw the valley below, a bottomless pit of mist, and he knew this was the end. But something moved through the storm of falling rock. A shape leaped across the tumbling slope with the speed of a predator. Daniel only caught flashes, a blur of silver fur, the glint of golden eyes, the swing of a tail slicing through the air. Then powerful arms grabbed him, pulling him out of the slide. He crashed against a body stronger than steel, the impact knocking the wind from him. Dust choked the air. Stones thundered past them, smashing into the valley floor below. Yet somehow he was safe. When the dust cleared enough for him to see, Daniel's breath caught. The one who had saved him was not human. She stood taller than him, her body lean and powerful, shaped like a woman but marked by the wild. Silver-gray fur covered her arms, shoulders, and the base of her wolf-like ears. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, fierce yet steady. A long, bushy tail moved behind her for balance. She wore leather armor stitched with bones, a hunter's garb, and carried a spear strapped across her back. Daniel could only stare. His heart pounded with fear and awe. The wolf girl tilted her head, studying him as though deciding if he was worth saving a second time. Then she spoke. Her first words were strange, rough syllables of a language Daniel didn't understand. But after a moment she tried again, this time in broken human speech. "You safe now?" she said slowly. Daniel blinked, trying to form words. You saved me." She gave no reply, only looked at him with eyes that seemed to pierce through his very soul. Then, without warning, she turned and began walking up the slope, motioning for him to follow. Daniel hesitated. His instincts screamed to return to camp to find his team. But he glanced back at the collapsed ridge. The path was gone, buried under tons of stone. He had no way back. So he followed her. The path she took was one no human could have walked alone. Narrow ledges wound along the cliffs. Tree roots knotted into ropes above drops that vanished into mist. She moved with effortless balance, her tail swaying behind her, her claws gripping stone when her boots slipped. Daniel stumbled more than once, but each time she caught his arm without hesitation, steadying him before he fell. Hours passed, or maybe it was less. Time blurred in the dizzying climb. Finally, the trail opened into a valley high between ridges, and there, carved into the cliffside, was a village. Daniel stopped in awe. Wooden huts clung to the stone, connected by hanging bridges. Fires burned in pits, smoke curling into the sky. Figures moved among the ledges, more of her kind. Wolf people with fur in shades of gray, white, and black. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dusk, watching him as he entered. The murmurs started immediately. Low growls, sharp whispers. Every gaze turned toward him, and he felt like prey caught in a den of predators. His rescuer led him straight to the largest hut built on the highest ledge. There, an elder waited. His fur was white as snow, his face lined with years, but his golden eyes burned sharp as fire. The wolf girl bowed her head before him, speaking quickly in her language. She gestured toward Daniel, mimicking the motion of falling rocks. Daniel understood enough. She was explaining the landslide, how she had pulled him from it. The elder listened in silence. Then slowly he nodded. He stepped forward, his gaze fixed on Daniel like a weight. When he spoke, his human words were broken but firm. "You live, because Kayla saved you," he said. He pointed to the wolf girl. Kayla, Daniel realized. Then the elder's voice deepened. "Law is clear. When warrior defy mountain, take one from stone death. They are bound. You are hers. You are her mate." Daniel froze. He thought he misheard. "What?" "No, I didn't." The words were drowned in a chorus of howls from the gathered tribe. Some clapped Kayla's shoulders in approval. Others laughed, sharp and wild. All looked at Daniel with new eyes, not as a stranger but as one already chosen. Kayla herself said nothing. She stood tall beside him, her tail brushing lightly against his leg. Her golden eyes never wavered. Daniel's pulse hammered. He had come to map the mountain, not to be claimed by it. But the Lyran, the wolf people, had their own laws older than any he knew. And here, high above the world with no path home, Daniel realized he was no longer in control of his fate. Kayla had saved him from death. And in doing so, she had bound him to her forever. Daniel woke in the Lyran village to the sound of drums. They were deep, steady, like the beating of a giant heart echoing through the cliffs. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. But then he opened his eyes and remembered where he was. Far from his camp, far from his people, surrounded by the wolf tribe who now claimed him as one of their own. The hut he lay in was small but warm, built from woven branches and lined with soft pelts. He pushed himself upright, the smell of smoke and meat drifting in from outside. His head spun slightly. He had not rested well. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw again the landslide, the rocks crashing, and then Kayla's golden eyes pulling him back from the edge of death. Kayla. He turned, and there she was, crouched near the doorway. She was sharpening her spear with a smooth stone, her silver fur glinting faintly in the morning light. Her movements were precise, steady, as though nothing could break her focus. When she noticed him awake, she did not smile. She simply nodded. "You come," she said in her broken human speech. Daniel hesitated. "Come where?" Kayla rose gracefully, the spear now gleaming in her hand. She motioned for him to follow. "Elder, wait." Reluctantly, Daniel stepped outside with her. The village was alive with sound. Children with fluffy tails darted across rope bridges, laughing in their own language. Hunters sharpened their blades. Women carried baskets of glowing fruit from the forest. Every eye, though, still turned toward him as he walked. Some looked curious, some approving, and a few suspicious. He felt as if 1,000 judgments weighed on him with every step. At the center of the village, the elder waited by a great fire pit. Smoke curled into the sky, and around him stood the tribe's leaders, warriors, hunters, shamans. Their golden eyes fixed on Daniel, unblinking. The elder lifted a hand, and the drums stopped. Silence fell heavy across the ledges. Then he spoke in his rough but clear voice. "Kayla take you from death. Lo say you are her mate, but mountain must know if you strong." His eyes narrowed. "Human must show heart." Daniel swallowed hard. "Show heart?" Kayla stepped beside him, her tail brushing his leg. "Prove you not weak," she said softly. The elder gestured, and 2 warriors stepped forward. They carried not weapons, but a heavy stone slab carved with strange symbols. They laid it before Daniel. The elder tapped the stone with his claw. "Lift," he commanded. Daniel blinked. The slab looked impossibly heavy, at least twice his weight. His chest tightened. He had never been strong like the Lyran. His work was with tools, scanners, data, not brute force. He knelt, gripped the edges of the stone, and tried. His arms trembled. His back burned. The slab barely shifted. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Daniel's face flushed. He tried again, teeth clenched, sweat pouring down his neck. Still, the slab refused to move more than an inch. His body gave out, and he fell to his knees, gasping for air. The warriors chuckled. One muttered something in Lyran that made others laugh louder. Daniel didn't need translation. He knew they were calling him weak. Shame burned in his chest. He looked up at Kayla, expecting to see disappointment. But her golden eyes were calm, unreadable. She didn't laugh, didn't turn away. Instead, she crouched beside him and whispered, "Not stone. Use mind, human way." Her words struck him. "Not stone, use mind." That was it. Daniel rose slowly, ignoring the laughter. He stepped back from the slab and pulled a length of cord from his pack. He tied it around one end of the stone, then found a thick branch nearby. Using simple leverage, he wedged the branch under the cord and pushed down. The slab shifted, lifted off the ground. Gasps spread through the crowd. The elder leaned forward, his golden eyes narrowing with interest. Daniel grunted, pressing his weight onto the branch. The slab rose higher, enough to prove his strength, not of muscle, but of mind. He let it drop with a heavy thud, dust puffing into the air. Silence held the village. Then slowly the elder nodded. "Human, not weak," he said. "Human think." "Mountain, see this," the crowd erupted in howls of approval. The same warriors who had mocked him now clapped their hands against their chests in respect. Kayla's lips curved faintly upward. Not a full smile, but the closest Daniel had seen from her. "You prove heart," she said softly. From that moment, Daniel's place in the tribe shifted. He was still an outsider, still human. But now he was something more. Kayla's chosen mate, yes, but also a man who had shown strength in a way only he could. The days that followed were strange and full of learning. Kayla rarely left his side. She taught him the tribe's ways in her broken words and patient actions. She showed him how to balance on rope bridges, how to scent danger on the wind, how to strike flint to make fire in the damp mountain air. In return, Daniel shared pieces of his world. He showed her his scanner, how it read the tremors of the mountain. She listened intently, her golden eyes widening with fascination as he explained. He drew maps in the dirt, showing valleys and rivers the Lyran had never seen beyond their ridges. Slowly a bond grew between them, not just of law, but of choice. Yet not all in the tribe welcomed him. Some warriors still doubted, whispering that a human could never truly be Lyran. Daniel heard their growls at night, saw their glares by firelight. He knew acceptance was fragile. One evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, horns sounded from the valley below. A sharp, urgent note that made every Lyran stiffen. Kayla's ears pricked. Her hand flew to her spear. "Raiders," she said. Daniel's blood went cold. He had heard rumors. Bands of feral beastmen who roamed the mountains, attacking tribes, stealing food and slaves. The elder barked orders, and warriors rushed to the ledges, bows and spears ready. Kayla turned to Daniel. "Stay safe," but Daniel shook his head. "No, I can help," she frowned. "You know fight." "Not like you," Daniel admitted. "But I have tools, ideas, trust me." For a moment, Kayla hesitated. Then she gave a single sharp nod. As night fell, the raiders came. They climbed the cliffs like shadows, snarling and hissing. Their eyes burned red in the dark, their bodies twisted with hunger and rage. The Lyran met them with arrows and spears, cries echoing across the mountains. Daniel's heart pounded. He was no warrior, but he was an engineer, a thinker. He pulled his seismic scanner from his pack, setting it on the ground. The device blinked to life, showing tremors of movement along the cliffside. "Kayla!" he shouted. "They're climbing on the east ridge." She barked the warning in her language. Warriors rushed to defend the spot just as the raiders surged over the edge. Arrows flew, claws clashed against spears. The fight was fierce, brutal. Daniel worked quickly, rigging his equipment with cords and charges from his pack. He planted them along weak sections of the cliff, then triggered the devices. With a thunderous crack, rocks gave way, tumbling down and sweeping raiders from their climb. The Lyran howled in triumph. Kayla fought at the front, her silver fur streaked with dust, her spear flashing like lightning. She moved with deadly grace, protecting her people, and when raiders tried to break through toward Daniel, she cut them down without hesitation. The battle raged deep into the night. But with Daniel's warnings and traps and Kayla's fierce defense, the Lyran held strong. At last the raiders fled, their snarls fading into the darkness. The tribe gathered, weary but victorious. Fires burned bright. The elder raised his arms. "Human fight with Kayla. Human save tribe," he declared. His voice carried over the ledges. Mountain was right. He belonged here. Howls rose into the night sky, fierce and proud. Kayla stood beside Daniel, her chest heaving, her golden eyes shining. She placed a hand on his shoulder. "You say you not belong," she said quietly. "But tonight, you are Lyran. You are mine." Daniel looked at her, at the tribe gathered around them, at the mountain that had almost killed him, but had given him this place. For the first time since arriving on Rivella, he felt not lost but found, and as the howls echoed across the ridges, Daniel knew this was no accident. Fate had bound him here. Fate had bound him to her.